mic's not on. Hello, my mic's now on. It's been 1 million years since I did one of these because I kept forgetting to plan for it, and also I was away and then busy because holidays. But now I'm here. Oh, and my phone audio is on, so you could hear me. I actually don't know if my mic picked it up, but I could hear me because I have the stream open on my phone. Anyway, hello. I'm making all of the foods from Stardew Valley. I put rolls on it because we go in the magic circle here. Um, my rules are as follows. Number one, I have to use all the ingredients listed in the game. Number two, I can add any additional ingredients as long as they are not available as ingredients in Stardew Valley. Number three, as much as possible, create the recipes myself. I am cheating on that one this time. I don't know how to make my own pasta, and I looked it up because I don't want to like completely mess it up. I have my reservations about how good it will turn out, even if I try and follow a recipe that should be good. So we're going to use that here. Number four, as much as possible, use local and/or foraged ingredients. I don't know. I have like nice tomatoes, but they're like from a grocery store. They're not. I didn't go to the farmers market this week. I was a little bit sick this weekend. I feel like I maybe still sound a little bit stuffy, but mostly I'm good now. Number five, as much as possible, take inspiration from the in-game images and descriptions. Number six, as much as possible, try to make them actually tasty, even if they're not necessarily pitched as it. And number seven, have fun. So, also, I'm baking a cake right now. That's unrelated. I was just doing that, and it's not done. And so that's gonna just sort of be happening, and I'll have to go deal with that at some point. Um, so I am making spaghetti, an old favorite. The ingredients are wheat flour and tomato. Sorry to Italy, but I can't use oil of the olive or other varieties. So I did look up a no egg pasta recipe. Where did it go? Oh, it's here. Um, Shout out to King Arthur Baking for having a recipe that is, per the rules of my challenge, legal. It does call for durum flour. I don't have that. They did not have that at the grocery store, and I didn't want to spend like $20 ordering some online. Um, Sorry, $12.95, but I'm assuming there would probably also be shipping. Um, so we're gonna use normal flour, and if it's bad, oh well. Um, Speaking of if it's bad, I have a backup, which is box spaghetti. I believe I checked. Yeah, this may contain eggs. I'm assuming that's due to cross contamination and an allergen warning and not an ingredient because it's not listed as an ingredient. Ingredients: durum semolina, wheat, niacin, ferrous sulfate, thiamine, mononitrate, riboflavin, folic acid. Uh, if the spaghetti I make turns out inedible, I'll make this. Um, but we're gonna do our best to make our own. So I'm going to. Oh, also on this. Let's see. Hold on. I doubt this is going to show up very well, but it is funny to me. Um, it's yeah, featured products. You really cannot see this very well. I don't think my camera's like good enough to really try to focus on my face, but I am covering it up anyway. Um, if I like turn my brightness down, will that be better? It is a little bit better. Okay, yeah, this is not visible. Whatever. I'll explain what it is. I was going to do that anyway. Featured products Durham. Oh, I have made a horrible mistake. What if I hold on? Let me fix this. I've blown out my camera. What if I deactivate and then activate? That's better. It also was kind of fixing itself on its own. The Durham flour, understandable. It's like a mildly uncommon ingredient that's used in this recipe that you're looking at. Also, uh, if you wanted to make your pasta at home and you're feeling like getting some gadgets to do so, it also recommends that you buy this almost $600 electric pasta machine. um, so that's fun. Okay, I am going to start making my sauce because I want to let it reduce for a while, and I am making my own sauce. Mostly, I'm going to use cans of tomato sauce that is like just tomato. Um, it may contain 2% or less of dehydrated bell peppers. Luckily, there are not bell peppers in Stardew Valley, or that would really throw a wrench in my plans. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna just sort of whip that up, but I also don't actually need to be opening these yet because I'm gonna cook onions first and then add the tomato sauce. But I forgot that I was gonna do that. It's fine. Um, okay. I was had a thought and it has escaped me. Uh, as tends to happen when I'm like, yeah, let me stream cooking when I am hungry. You know, that's when I'm at my most alert. Um, this onion also has been sitting in my fridge for a little bit, and it's maybe a little bit dehydrated, but it's fine. Um, the sauce is mainly going to be just like this canned tomato sauce, but I do have actual tomatoes that I will dice up and put in there. I meant to leave those out on the counter today so that they would not be cold, but I forgot, so that's not happening. We're using red onion because that's the one that I had going already. Oh, I remember the thing that I was started to say and then got distracted in the middle of. So another sort of complication for this particular cooking endeavor is that all of my large bowls, and by all of I mean both, um, are currently in use on account of that cake that I'm baking. That I'm gonna need to do one more layer of. That I have to do. The reason the cake is still baking is that I only have one cake tin of the size that I wanted to make this cake. So I'm having to do one layer at a time. Um, and I'm dropping bits of onion on the ground. Um, this is probably honestly even too much onion, but it's fine. I'm gonna use all of what I chopped up. Um, but this my largest bowl here has the rest of the batter in it, and my other big bowl has the frosting in it. Okay. I need some sort of oil to cook these, so or some sort of fat, I suppose. So I am gonna throw a little bit of butter in here. To cook the onions in. Um, oh, you know what? These onions that are still just sliced, I'll just eat later. I'm probably gonna make a salad to go with this. That I would probably gonna put in this bowl later. Uh, here we go. Stop, dill, in there. Um, Yeah, so I'm gonna have to make my pasta dough in a medium bowl and hope that that is big enough. So I'm just gonna sort of like stir it carefully. Uh, okay, get that going. I'll probably also medium size for cooking the pasta once that is happening. Um, okay. Let my flour out. I need it. Um, I am gonna weigh it because okay, interesting. This is not, I'm gonna have this recipe just because, like, um, well, the aforementioned, uh, bowl situation. I guess, actually, you know what? I'll weigh the water too. Um, I'll just sort of do this. I'm weighing my ingredients. That's sort of the thought there. Okay. 200 grams of flour. I am worried about the size of this bowl, but it's fine. I'll make it work. I'll also get flour on a scale and counter. All right, there we go. Salt. Need an eighth of a teaspoon, which is not a measuring spoon that I have. Just put too much in, I guess, because we've poured salt. That doesn't necessitate washing these again. Okay, let me get these onions going. Tragically, no garlic allowed. I think they allow garlic here, but I probably won't add that. I've got basil. Um, okay. Gonna let those brown, and then okay. This needs to be about 110 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, this water, which I don't have a way of estimating. I am real quick gonna sort of take this and put it somewhere that will not sort of brush the flour. Okay. Um, yeah, so I don't really know how to tell if my water is the correct amount of hot. Um, when I am using my kettle, uh, whenever I'm doing something that, like, whenever I'm making like a dough, um, with like yeast, I feel like usually that says like 100 to 105 Fahrenheit, and that I'll just kind of like vibe it out. Um, I think 100 I'm trying to remember. I used to be a lifeguard. Um, this is rattling. That's probably good. Okay. I will zero this again. We need 100 grams. No, we need 50 grams. It's 100 for the normal. Yes. I taught that when I was at 50, so we're good. Um, okay. I should have probably made the well, but that's fine. Mhm. Thank you to my kitchen scale. That will do. It says to use a flexible spatula. However, my two flexible spatulas are currently in use, so we're using this spoon. Um, I'm gonna throw away the scale and sort of try and make a little bit of space, and then probably do some sort of dough. Oh, good. I'm gonna need to knead this for 10 minutes, because I don't have a stand mixer, and I don't have a functional electric mixer either right now. I am gonna get a new one though, because that is useful. Uh, I'm not particularly a fan of the stand mixer, to be honest, and it's possible that this is just because I don't like the one that my family had growing up. So I'm like, uh, stand mixers, those are overrated and bad, and I'm just gonna use an electric mixer. Um, but I have been relegated to uh thinking I perhaps need slightly more water, honestly. 'Cause this is like just not coming together all the way. So I'm gonna use a little bit more. I don't add too much because like I don't want it to be a wet dough. This is pasta dough. Um, but I also want it to be a dough and not just slightly wet flour. Um, I guess I'll need to like get this down for when I make the squid ink ravioli. Uh, which is one that I'm looking forward to, but also a little bit afraid of because I have not yet tried to figure out how to acquire squid ink as an ingredient. Um, and I don't know how difficult it'll be. Let me make sure I'm browning these onions instead of burning them. Okay. Nice. That's probably gonna be enough sugar. Shit. Get the rest of this in here. Alright. So up here is a sort of strange place to put it, but I am limited for space at the moment. Also, wait, the cake batter also is with my air fryer. Okay. I'm gonna throw in, I think, some salt. That might help these onions brown. I don't think I'm gonna try and like caramelize them just because I don't feel like waiting that long to even get the tomato into this sauce. Um, because I wanna like let that reduce for a little while. Um, but we'll see. This one might end up being kind of long. I don't know. I'm open to that eventuality. Um, okay. Pour this out. Let's eat this. If this turns out bad, I'm gonna blame it on the flour. Um, and I think I'm also gonna add a little bit just so that this is like more kneadable. I have made pasta dough before, but it has been a while. And I'm pretty sure that I've made it with egg. So I don't like entirely remember how the crumbly and shaggy with a bit of dry flour ring. That is how this is. Okay. Knead it until it's really smooth for 10 minutes. Uh, we will see how this goes. Um, I would like if it was sticking together just like slightly more. Maybe that needs to happen with the kneading. It is coming together more. It's also like this is a tough dough. My usual kneading techniques are not uh, as effective as they are for most of the doughs that I make. I don't know, I have to get this cake out and see if it's done. Okay, we are kind of getting burnt on the bottom of the pan here, so I'm gonna need to deglaze that in a second, but I think it can survive until I deal with this cake. Are we done? Let's see. The first one was done after the amount of time that I put it in for, but the second one, no, you need more time. Okay, that's fine. Let's do it another like 7 minutes. Okay, I gotta deglaze this. I'm gonna throw some lemon juice in. But I think I'm gonna put the tomato sauce in first. Um, I believe I've said this before. So on one of these, I just hope this is like a reasonable amount of tomato sauce that I'm making, but it's fine. I can always just save it and make pizza. Um, or make more pasta with it. But I do not like sugar in my pasta sauce or pizza sauce or tomato sauces generally, which is great for this because I'm not allowed to use it. Um, okay. I got the lemon juice out already. I'm gonna not pour a crazy amount into it. There we go. This is a fresh bottle, so it is wants to be whatever. Okay, I'm gonna save a couple of basil leaves for on top. to sort of garnish. Actually, I'm gonna do that with some simpler ones. Um, the rest of the basil is gonna get chopped up and go in the sauce. Oh, I should like roll this up before I started chopping it to make this easier, but whoops. So not really any like big leaves left. Mainly is I just need to let simmer, but I'm gonna add a little nutritional yeast in here to thicken it up. Um, and because I cannot put cheese on the spaghetti, so I'll do that for like a little bit of sort of cheese flavor. Um, and I probably will need more salt. Let me mix this up and taste it and figure out how much. Um, and splatter tomato sauce all over myself. Love to do that. It's my favorite activity. Um, actually, I'm not. I don't need like a ton more salt. I'll probably add more pepper later. I'm a pepper boy. Okay. I'm gonna need this dough a little bit more so that I can get it rising in a sort of reasonable amount of time. I don't actually know if it needs to rise. I need to sit. I think it's getting smoother. I don't think it's done, but my kneading seems to be doing something. This is going to splatter all over the place. I'm going to put a lid on it. Maybe also turn it up a little bit just so that it's like a little faster. This is the one thing I don't like about making my own like tomato sauce is that it will get all over the place because it just has to simmer, needs to boil. Or a t-shirt says they're working it. Well, I would really like this beard if I can be so honest with you. It's cake. But it is, yippee! Okay, I'm gonna go disappear to where my cooling rack is and get this onto the cooling rack. Huh. Just can hear me struggle. We've just washed this tablecloth. Now I'm getting all of these. All these cake crumbs on it. It's really embarrassing. We could have foreseen this. Definitely not me who decided I needed to wash it after the last time I made a cake and got it crumbs all over the tablecloth. Okay, I've returned to make the last layer of this cake. Okay. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the butter. What else am I looking for? I'm looking for this. I can't tell which side with which. I think it's probably the bottom. Okay. Get over there. I'm so graceful at this. At greasing this. Okay. Oh, please be polite. The nice thing about these cake tins is that they do cool off quite quickly, which is great for when you are making a cake that has multiple layers of a diameter that you only have one thing. Okay. This cake is a cannoli. Wanting to make it for quite a while. Um, and there's another cake that I had been wanting to make for quite a while that I made also pretty recently. Um, I think I made it on New Year's, probably, because I didn't have work, so I helped a friend move, but that didn't take as long as we expected it to, and I made a cake. And it was a recipe that I had very high hopes for that was honestly kind of mid. Like it was fine, but I had been looking forward to trying out that recipe, and I thought it was really gonna knock my socks off, and it didn't. Um, so I was like, all right, I gotta redeem myself with some other cake off of my baking to-do list. Uh, and I had been wanting to make the cannoli cake. I did there's like a frosting and a separate like filling for between the layers. And I did try the like cannoli filling already, and that was pretty good. So I have high hopes for this. Um, Hopefully the cake itself is also good. Okay, what I'm gonna do actually, I'm gonna do the rest of this meeting with wet hands so that I can just sort of like get ever so slightly more water into this because I get nervous around really dry doughs. Okay, all right. I've been reading this book. This is how long it's been since I last did one of these. I don't think I was reading this book yet, and I feel like I've been reading it for a million years. That's not true. It's been like maybe 2 weeks that I've been working on this book. Um, it is really long and big and dense in sort of content. Um, and I don't really get it very well, but I'm almost done with it, and I'm gonna try and finish it tonight, which I think I can do because I have like less than 100 pages left. It's called Shot and Fro. The English translation came out last year, and I was like, "Oh, this looks weird. This looks like House of Leavesy," and I really liked House of Leaves. So, also, I trust that as I say that, you are, of course, visualizing the word house in blue. Um, I'm very committed to that bit with regards to that book. Anyway, because I heard that it was like sort of like strange and like kind of postmoderny and had footnotes. I was told about footnotes, and I'm like, if you're telling me about footnotes, it's got to be interesting footnotes. For that to be like a selling point for a book, and like it sounded very much up my alley. I would say this is Smith. Okay, covered bowl, 15 to 20 minutes. Cool. We can do that. It's at 32 now. We will check it when it's at like 15. Um, yeah, the description of this book that I heard gave me the impression that it would not necessarily be like House of Leaves, but sort of I was expecting it to be kind of like ergodic and puzzly in that way. Um, and it's not really very ergodic. It's more like uh it's very like philosophical and theological and historical. And if you're like really into those things, I think that it probably would be really like enjoyable. But those are like not particularly areas that I have a lot of background knowledge in or particularly have like a a particular interest in. I think that like learning about stuff is generally very fun and interesting. Um, Especially when it's like through stories that like are told in an interesting way and or well. Um, but like I'm finding this book very interesting, but it's very long and dense and like I feel like interesting is not quite enough. I would have liked if there was like a little bit more for me, but I can also like recognize that it's like well put together. and I've read it's 1,001 pages, and actually I think a little bit less because the text actually starts on like page 20. But it's like 1,000 pages. I am on like page 920 or something, and I'm looking for a little bowl to put this basil in so that I can cut up the tomatoes. Um, like it has held my attention for me to get this far into it. Um, like I don't dislike it. And there's a lot of like passages, some of which are quite long chunks, um, that like really draw me in, and I like that. But I think I'm just like not quite the correct type of freak that this book is intended for, and I can respect that. Um, I am gonna finish it, and then I will get to start reading several other things that will be very quick reads for me, that I think will be very enjoyable. And more so because I have just sort of like read through this big difficult thing. So okay, honestly, I think I probably don't want the skins of the tomatoes. I think I probably should sort of slice that off. And sauce, I mean. I'll just eat them. So I need another little bowl for these. Actually, it's fine if I use all my little bowls because I probably need to run the dishwasher soon anyway. Okay. And I've been watching birds in my backyard. This is something I've been up to for a while. Um, but I don't know how well known this concept is. But people who like, I'm not gonna wash this off before I'm done with this sauce because if I do, it's just gonna splatter everywhere. People who are like competitive about bird watching, there's this thing called like a big year, which is where you're like you try and see the most species of birds within one calendar year as you can. Um, and there is a movie from like 2014, I think, called The Big Year that has like it's got Jack Black and Owen Wilson and some other guy who I think is like pretty famous, but I did not know of or like I didn't recognize him by face or by name. Um, and I don't remember if it's like actually Zoe Deschanel or if it's just like some other actress who has sort of the same vibe as her. Um, but I watched that movie a while ago, at some point last year. Um, it was okay. Like, it's kind of fun. Um, it was my like review of it that I is my sort of like go to like quick little here's how I would describe this movie is um for a movie where the moral at the end of the story is women are more important than birds, it's kind of misogynistic all throughout. Um it like it doesn't really seem particularly interested in women as sort of like people. Um like, there's plenty of movies that are equally or more misogynistic that have some sort of this is not honestly that much tomato, but I kind of don't feel like cutting up another one if I can be so honest. And I also like don't really want it to be like super chunky of a sauce. I guess I could also thicken it with flour if I want to at some point because it's part of the spaghetti recipe and that has flour in it. I don't know what those flavors are. Oh, well, I tore this bag of tomato open, but it had a resealable thing. Whoops, that's okay. I'm gonna eat that other tomato some other time. Um, anyway, like the Big Year, the movie, it was all right. It was fun. On it, on the first, after I helped my friend move, I almost said help my roommate move, which is not the case. Um, neither former nor current roommate, other friend who I don't live with. I helped her move, and then and I made a cake, and then we, because classic moving uh situation, you eat pizza. Um, so we ate pizza and we watched a movie from last year, I think, called Listers, which is also about the concept of a big year in bird watching. And that one is a documentary made by a couple of brothers question mark a couple of dudes who uh live in a van for a year and do a big year. Both of them are a like United States big year. Lister's is specifically a lower 48. Um, the big year, the movie, they do go to Alaska. I don't remember if they go to Hawaii, and if it was all 50 states, they definitely would have gone to Hawaii. So it might be contiguous in that one. The point you can define your bounds various ways. This is a really long explanation for such like a small comment that I have, but you know what? I'm waiting for things to cook and streaming. So what else am I going to talk about? In Listers, they do these dudes like do a big year. They have like no bird watching experience. They are learning as they go. Um, and they make like a documentary about it. I think one of them or both of them are like filmmakers by training, and they were like, "We're unemployed. Let's spend a year looking at birds." And a lot of the story beats were shockingly similar in the two movies. Great double feature recommendation. Um, if you are interested in watching a couple of movies about bird watching, uh, go Big Year then Listers. I think is what my friend and I decided on, because you watch the Big Year and you're like, this is a whole thing, but surely they're exaggerating. And then you watch Listers and you're like, oh my god, no, it's like that. So that was fun, and I think Listers is I think a slightly better movie. Is obviously it's a different type of movie, but I think it's successful as a documentary. Um, I think that like sort of the main characters, the filmmakers are like likable, and it strikes a nice balance between we're two dudes living out of a van. We have seemingly done this before, not specifically for birds, but for like traveling on really, really cheap and like bringing that sort of energy to also being like really earnestly interested in like learning about this hobby and subculture. Um, it's fun. That movie is on YouTube. Listers is on YouTube. You can watch it. I would recommend it. It's the thing I was gonna do while I'm waiting for this. It's fine. We will start on that. So starting off the year by watching a movie about doing a big year made me not decide to do a big year because I'm not that into books yet. I like them, but I am I'm not particularly interested in being that competitive at bird watching, is I think the main thing. Like I I think it's exciting to see a bird I haven't seen before or haven't like noticed that I have seen before, but I'm not trying to like make a whole thing out of it. Um, but I have I like to make like a bunch of New Year's resolutions that are pretty much all just like small and fun things to do. Some sort of thing that like justifies me making a spreadsheet um that has like stuff that doesn't matter in it. Um, but um I've decided that I'm doing what I'm calling a small year, which is that I'm going to see how many different species of birds I see, but only in my backyard. Um, I have to either be because I work from home and my office looks out into my backyard, so I spend like 8 hours a day staring at my backyard. Not really, I spend 8 hours a day like doing work, but my backyard's right there. So I see a lot of birds, a lot of the same ones, I think. Um, there's a red-bellied woodpecker that I see pretty often. There's a northern flicker that I actually haven't seen in a while, but I was seeing pretty regularly. So I'm doing a small year. Now some might say that's a point count survey. To which I say, no, I don't have defined methods. It's not regular. It's whatever. I'm looking outside. But I'm also allowed to like actually go outside and look around and like use Merlin to try and listen to some birds because I don't know any bird calls. So that all was what that was about. The thing that I forgot about that I was going to be doing while I do the waiting part of this is that so Stardew Valley does not have meat in it, which is, I mean, there's fish, but it doesn't have like poultry and beef and pork and stuff, which is fine by me because I generally don't eat those things anyway. I am, as I say, mostly pescatarian, which is to say, like probably 80% of the time I'm vegetarian, and like another 19% of the time I eat fish, and 1% of the time I'm like, I do actually, the thing is, I really do think that I would love to make something delicious out of pork belly. Um, so on sort of rare and or special occasions I eat, but mostly I eat fish and vegetarian. Um, Now, given that there are not any meat products in the game, technically I could make non-vegetarian um things for this challenge because it is not an ingredient that could be listed but isn't within the Stardew Valley. So like I could be like throwing chicken on stuff, but again, like I don't generally eat chicken, so like why would I do that? And I feel like it's not in the spirit of the recipes. The game is pescatarian, so I think that in the spirit of the game, my recipes should also be pescatarian. Um, the spaghetti in Stardew Valley does not have any. Think that that is sort of in the spirit of that particular recipe. Is it's just pasta and red sauce. Um, that said, this is my dinner, and I would like there to be some sort of protein. So unofficially, this is not part of the Stardew Valley thing because I'm going to use ingredients that are not in Stardew Valley spaghetti. But as a separate thing that happens to also be part of my dinner, along with this, I'm gonna try and make some tofu meatballs and see if that is any good at all. I feel like perhaps I've done something like this before, but I don't actually remember. So I don't remember if it went well. Um, but what I do pretty often is make um various like vegetable patties. Um, mainly like bean based. I've been big into like a bean burger lately. And so I'm gonna take sort of a similar approach, but use crumbled up tofu and hopefully find like a good sort of seasoning mix that makes it generally have meatball vibes. Um, that's sort of that would be great. That would be the most ideal. And failing that, I hope that it is, if not very meatbally, at least tasty. And if it's not part of the Stardew Valley way. So that's that's off stream me's problem. Okay, that's crumbled up. It has been 20 minutes, so I am gonna deal with the pasta just because I don't know if it needs to sit again. it doesn't need to sit again, but I will still. Yeah, I'm gonna roll that out first. Okay, so out here, this here. Actually, I'm gonna wash it because I'm gonna use this as my my turnip flights have gone down in price. I need to see if the ones that are actually at decent times also have. Okay. Guide to different ribbon cut pasta shapes. I'm not gonna use that. I'm just gonna wing this. And I just like get this sort of as flat as I can, I think. And then it might be sort of a little bit more fettuccine-y, on account of I'm gonna cut it with a knife, and I don't have like I don't have any sort of pasta machine, but we'll make it work. We'll make it as spaghetti as possible. Um, so the texture of this is I'm enjoying. It's like it's tough, which I feel like it probably is supposed to be, so I think that's good. Um, it's tofu and it's not a bit of dough, so I'm not gonna push that in here. Uh, this is like we'll smoke with this and see how this goes, and rinse off this knife so that the pasta is not entirely full of basil. Um, here's my first noodle. It's definitely a little bit more. Oh, you know what? What if I roll it out? I'm not doing that. Okay. We're gonna all pretend in our most beautiful hearts that there's only like a couple of pasta shapes, and anything long and skinny is spaghetti, I think. I'm sure there's a mod for Stardew Valley that's like pasta machine. Hold on. Maybe I don't have to sneeze. Um, and you can buy a pasta machine and make like 1 bazillion different kinds of pasta. Um, I'm gonna like get this all ready and then sort of well check on that and just check on my sauce and construct these meatballs. Figure out how I'm gonna cook them. I probably will bake them. Um, because it's fine if they're not done when I end stream because they're not an official part of this. Um, yes, it is not totally even in width. I'm gonna roll it out. But once I've sort of checked on that and gotten that sort of going, I will boil my water and cook this pasta. I feel like it'll probably be fine. I know at the beginning I was like, oh well, if it turns out bad, woo, but I think it'll be okay. These are not the most even in size, but like it's okay. It's very uneven in size. It's fine. Part of the reason also that I decided to have the recipe is because I was like, I don't want to have to roll out and cut spaghetti out of all that much pasta dough. Especially if like, because usually I'm like, oh, let me make enough for leftovers because I eat leftovers for lunch most weeks. But like, if I have leftover sauce, I can make box pasta and like put the sauce on that, and the leftovers can be the stuff that's easier to just like warm up instead of stuff that I have to boil water for anyway. So I may as well just use the pre-made stuff that I have. And I feel like this is like a good amount of stuff. Like it's like I think I get one or two more reasonably spaghetti-ish noodles out of this. It's really not enough to like roll out again into a spaghetti shape. So I'm probably honestly just gonna throw this little sheet in as sort of a little taste test type situation. Okay. Is this here? Oh, I have balsamic vinegar. Maybe I'll throw a little bit of that on something. I don't know. We'll see. But I should be efficient because I am hungry. Okay. Into this tofu, I'm gonna put an egg and some breadcrumbs and some spices and maybe some sort of sauce. I'm gonna see what sauces I have because I feel like sometimes throwing a little bit of a sauce in there is good. Um, maybe some mustard. In fact, crumbs. Breadcrumbs are also Italian seasonings. So that covers one seasoning. Okay. Get some pepper and salt in this bad boy. Definitely some nutritional yeast. Oh, wait, you know what? This is not official, so I can put cheese in it. I'm gonna throw a little bit of Parmesan in here. In addition to, This one I think was a little bit less thick than the previous one, so it might be. Yes, you are done. Beautiful. Okay. BRB. It's really done. Much more sweet than the previous. Swear. I'm so good at this. So good at what? You'll never know. You can't see. That I'm so bad at this. I put them on the cooling rack upside down. Well, the cooling rack is upside down. I'll make this work. Oh, okay, I'm so good at this again. All right. In addition to regular salt, I'm also going to throw some MSG in here because that is my beautiful secret to veggie burgers. And I think that it also can be a beautiful secret to tofu meatballs. I did say I was going to probably bake this, huh? I'm going to do that. 400 is probably good. Seeing recipe invention in real time. Okay, let me think. I am gonna put a little bit of Parmesan in this bad boy. Okay. And I'm gonna just sort of do it with my hands. Now, I'm not gonna be grasping a whole egg, and it's already a little bit mixed in here. Okay. Um, all right. I'm gonna throw in here some. Honestly, I wish I had like steak sauce. I don't think I have any steak sauce. So I bet that would be good. Yeah, there's nothing in here that's really calling for me. Been doing a lot of cheese shredding lately. Grating, that's the word. Thanks. By some definitions, Parmesan cheese is not actually vegetarian, because isn't that one of the ones that uses like rennet? But I eat it, so another another tally in the mostly column of my pescatarianism. That's probably good because I don't feel like shredding more of this. Gonna put away the cheese so I don't forget that I'm not allowed to use it on the official pasta or sauce. Um, I'm going to check on this. Okay, this probably good. I do need to put the basil in there, but I don't think it needs to. I don't think the burn needs to be on for that. I think, you know what, I'm gonna get the ducks out of the way first so I have somewhere to put. I should have mixed in the seasoning before I put the egg in so I could like test it. Um, Speaking of taste testing, I should taste test the uh, sauce. We'll do that shortly. I have no idea how well these are going to hold together, but we'll see. Oh, you know what I think I've done? I think I've made like canned tuna meatballs. Maybe I definitely one time I made my own dino nuggets out of canned tuna. That was actually really fun. It was like it was kind of a lot of work, like more work than I could justify doing with any regularity, but it was really fun to be like, okay, let me figure out how I can make this happen. Um, I think it was that in like a D&D game we talked about dino chicken nuggets and I was like, all right, next session, that's what I'm gonna eat for dinner before our game. But I don't eat chicken, so I'm gonna have to make it out of something else. Okay, now I'm gonna sneeze, I think. Maybe? Come on. Apparently not. Okay. I'm just gonna just like spray these with a little bit of oil. Seems solid. Okay, I think when I've done meatball type stuff before, it was like, do it for 20 minutes. I definitely made some sort of non-meat meatball. I'm gonna put them in there for 20 minutes, and that is gonna be, or is gonna work and be beautiful. Okay, you go away. So here, you here. What did I make recently that was really good? Oh, I made so last year I was like one of my resolutions was to make 50 new recipes. And one of the earlier ones actually that I found was a butternut squash carbonara sort of situation. And it was good and I made it several times. And for I think I made this on New Year's Eve maybe or like the day before it. I made I'll do a little more in this. Um I made that but I added some salmon. That was really tasty. Um Honestly, I'm happy with that sauce. I might throw a little bit of like crushed red pepper or something in there. I'm going to like this a little bit, maybe. Like it's a good proper clean, get this stuff off. Well, this is not making me feel stressed out to look at now, so I can clean it better later. Okay, I'm gonna wash some while hot water heats up. Oh, oh, my computer's low on battery. I think it'll probably survive another like 10 minutes though. Hopefully. Actually, hold on. Is that the like it's very low? No, that's the it's like 20%. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Sous chef, I could make dry the dishes. I think I've said this before. I don't mind washing dishes, but I don't like drying dishes. Um, and so as much as possible, I just, are you good? What is on there that's burning? That's fine. Um, as much as possible, I just put stuff on my drying rack, but sometimes it's full and I need to just wash the dishes and um, I'm concerned I did not forget to put salt in my pasta water. I just usually let it boil before I put salt in. Um, that is the habit that I Snoopy but what I think is kind of sick and twisted is when there's a musical artist who has a Bandcamp page and their albums are displayed on said Bandcamp page, but you can't actually buy them through Bandcamp, and you have to like go to their website and get it elsewhere. And I'm like, if you don't want to sell your music on Bandcamp, what if you just didn't have it up there? Because that is what I use to get music mostly. And one of my 2026 resolutions is to listen to a bunch of albums because I realized I really did not listen to a lot of music last year. And previously, I did listen to a lot of music and like I did radio in college, and I have like written album reviews. And I did not do very much of that type of media enjoyment in 2025. And I was like, oh man, I like listening to music. I should get back on that. So I am gonna make an effort to do that more. So I listened to an album today that I liked. I thought it was good. I listened to it on Bandcamp, and then I was like, "Can I buy this? Can I put it on my wish list for the next Bandcamp Friday when I buy all of my music on Bandcamp?" Um, and it was like, "No, heart emoji, you can't, heart emoji. You have to, you have to go to this other website if you want to buy it." And I was like, "Okay, well, it does have a beautiful red vinyl." And they were like, "No, no, that one's sold out." I was like, "Okay, well, way to make me really sad." I heard a sizzling after. Oh, you know what? I bet it's a little bit of water like got out of the pot because it sounds like it's about to be boiling. Okay, recipe says 3 to 5 minutes for this pasta. I am honestly just gonna kind of oh, let me actually get one. Cons in this. Okay. Now, let's yeah, I'm just gonna honestly like plop all this in and just kind of keep an eye on it and stir it frequently. Let's go with the spider. Spaghetti spider. I'm gonna bring that bad boy back up to a boil. Okay. We're boiling again. Uh, I'm guessing that probably it's going to need closer to 5 or to 3 because most of them are spaghetti and thin type situations. Uh, but I also don't know how much of the like minute and a half it took to get back to a boil is gonna contribute to that. So probably once it goes to 7, I'll do a little taste test. Okay, let's see. Pasta, let me get one of you. There's a noodle. Okay. Yeah, I would say that's cooked through. All right, cool. I have no idea if the big piece is gonna be cooked all the way through, especially since I put it in after, but it's fine. Maybe I should have used the big colander. It's fine. Okay. It's actually turned out quite tasty, I must say. I know it's plain pasta, but I honestly I did not have I thought I was gonna do poorly at this one for the pre-probe. Sauce. Okay. Gonna throw some basil on this bad boy. Find where I put my fork. I'm going to show this off. Let me see. Do I still have the Stardew Valley wiki page open to look at the picture? I don't. Can I pull it up quickly? Yes, I can. Okay. The picture is definitely on a plate, but I put mine in a bowl. But like I would say that looks correct. That's it. You got it. Okay. It's, okay, it's very hot. Spaghetti. It's an old favorite. I have succeeded, I think. Okay, my computer's gonna die, so I'm gonna end the stream. Go plug it in. Um, Unfortunately, you don't get to find out how the meatballs turn out, but that's okay because they're not real. Don't worry about it, RPG. Cool. Okay. Where's the end thing? There we go. Bye.